This episode of Tequila Monday is produced by DabblerTV with support from Dabbler Depot, your local experts for all things craft drinks. Located on West 7th Street in St. Paul, Dabbler Depot offers a one-of-a-kind craft beverage buying experience. With experts in every single style of beer, spirit, and wine, they are sure to help you discover your newest favorite. Alcohol not your thing? They've also got you covered with the state's largest selection of low-dose cannabis-infused products in their full-service coffee shop. The expert staff will listen to your needs and tastes in order to help you find your next go-to. Open 7 days a week and online at DabblerDepot.com.
Welcome to Tequila Monday. This is our first inaugural podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to conversation, tequila, and just hanging out with some of our favorite people, and probably mostly in the restaurant scene. I want to introduce to you guys, you already know this guy, Robb Jones from METEOR Bar.
It's me.
Also from Life, because he takes place there as well. I mean, man, this is really cool. I'm really excited to be here. I'm very excited to have you hanging out. That's awesome.
I'm stoked to be part of the first one that you're doing. I think it's very special. I feel very special.
Cheers, my friend.
Yeah, no, this is going to be dope. I love tequila, and I like talking to people, and we've had so many conversations in the past that have gone on way too late into the night. Back when I used to live down on Nicollet Avenue, and we'd see each other post-work, and we would just hang out forever over at, like, Ola. We'd just sit on the patio at Ola for 4 hours drinking probably too much tequila.
So, like, way past the point of getting in trouble.
Yeah. I walked right home. It was great.
Yeah, I lived a little bit farther away.
We still made it. We're all here.
So, being the first Tequila Monday, I want to let everybody know that we're going to start with, which will soon be a tradition, and that is we're going to do a cheers. We're going to take a shot at tequila. And I want to make this toast, to my guest here, Robb, to our friends here at the Dabbler Depot that are hosting us today at their podcast studio. And to every person that's taken place in a Tequila Monday, friends, fam, you guys know who you are. I love you. You got a place in my heart. We shared some real time, and we're going to continue that. And that's really what this is about. So we're going to do a toast to you guys, to everybody out there, to all the Tequila Monday fam. Love you so much, and cheers.
Salud.
Santé. So, I mean, that's just delicious, right? Tequila's it's just so fucking delicious.
Tequila is delicious.
What did we just sip on?
This is Tapatio. I brought this unopened bottle with me from Meteor, all the way from North Minneapolis. Tapatio is relatively new in our market. It's pushing forward that cool idea of additive-free tequilas, which I'm proud to say Meteor is, I think right now, 100% additive-free tequila bar.
So
which
awesome.
means, we don't have tequila that tastes like cotton candy and,
grossness.
Yeah, bubble gum, stuff like that. I mean, if you like that, that's fine. We're just not going to have it for you. But Tapatio is great. It's actually imported locally by a guy named Todd, too, who works with the folks at Centro.
Oh, very cool.
And it's fucking delicious. And especially, it's one of those things that's like, it's so good, and the price point is so great, and they're doing everything responsibly, and it's just wonderful. We've seen this movement. I mean, wine was a big thing, the additive-free, right? I mean, natural wines, that really kind of, I remember, Nick at Corner Table, when we were doing that. I mean, that was a ground he stood on. It was really important to the expression of the wine and what he was doing. Seeing this coming into the spirit world is huge. And I think especially with tequila, wow, it's just like, it's just popped up in the zeitgeist right now. It's just such an spirit. But like with that comes this flooding of the market of just a lot of garbage and just stuff that's not fun to drink and is very obviously artificial. It tastes like Werther's original, like diluted in water. It's like, but there's a wonderful world of just spectacular tequilas out there, man. Yeah, it's just if anyone really wants to get into this stuff, there's an easy way to kind of follow. If you're like nerdy tequila, there's an app called Tequila Matchmaker. It's wonderful.
You can enter a bottle of tequila. You can learn everything there is to know about it, and you can actually rate it and be part of this like community. And it's really well maintained, and it's got a list of all the additive-free tequilas if you're ever interested in trying them, and then knowing if they taste good or not. Because just because it's additive-free doesn't mean it's necessarily good. But yeah, it's crazy, dude. The market for agave spirits has just blasted off in the last couple of years, which is very exciting because it's something that I appreciate too.
So that's going to be so hard for me. I get on that app, it's just me swipe right, swipe right, swipe right. Swipe
Yeah.
right. Tequila's just going to be flooding to my door. And I'm like, yeah.
You should get it. Everyone should get it. It's wonderful. The more people that use it, the better for everybody too.
That's really cool. Part of what we're doing with this whole thing, the Tequila Monday is like, man, I just get to hang out and talk to you, and everybody that's listening gets to talk to you and hang out too, which is cool. So we just kind of wanted to, crowdsource, and if you pay attention to social media, Robb's social media, there's, a shout out for kind of questions for you guys. So as this goes on, month after month, pay attention, send us some killer questions. And so through this, we're going to be asking some of those, and really talking about, trying to get into some things, not all tequila. I mean, it's not like, Tequila Monday wasn't always about just tequila.
We're just happen to be drinking tequila.
It's just an excuse to hang.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, that's it. And because we do, we work, right? And we work in the food and beverage industry.
Yes.
And like you do that. So, you see me at your bar because I come in and drink tequila. I always come in, I always have at least one or two cocktails. But usually tequila is, as I do. So I'm going to kind of get into some of these questions, just so I peel back. We got a few that people want to know, answers and questions for you. In the first one,
here we go,
which is got some real depth here. What's your favorite tequila? Wow. Was asked by, and I don't have the names. We're not going to say the names on air here of who asked the question. Maybe in the future we'll do that so people can be held accountable.
If I can find out after, that would be amazing.
Right.
I understand this is the first one too, so maybe there's not a lot of interaction.
Yeah.
So
you can Facebook stalk them and be like, okay.
Facebook.
But favorite tequila, right?
Honestly, my favorite tequila is one that you actually purchased for this event. Tequila Arete is I think my current favorite tequila, just because of its accessibility. The price point isn't insane. They're making things very responsibly. It's a family-owned business. There's no like celebrities involved that are getting this money. There's no giant corporations that are getting any of this money. And it's fucking delicious, most importantly.
And there's like a horse on here.
There's a horse, yeah. And it's got a horse on the bottle.
So if you want to, and there's a whole story about the horse, I don't know it, but there is one. And it's really important to the family that produces this, which is really cool. But they make great tequila. And I came across Arete after tasting like 35 different tequilas through multiple, of our reps and things like that for the restaurants, because I wanted something just amazing that was at a price point that I could say, if someone orders a tequila, then I'm like, we have it, and it's okay, but this is what you should have. Trust me, it's my favorite. And so I got that. And the fact that when you came in, you saw it, and we're like, that's bomb.
I was like, is that ours?
Yeah.
Because I've never had the extra añejo.
Yeah, so I've never had this, and I'm really excited to give it a shot. And most people know, if you're, have a restaurant, a bar in the Twin Cities, you might know me for the guy that comes in and has a Blanco tequila or two, because I really like
Blanco, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
There's a huge reason for that. Like, so one thing, like, let's talk about Blancos real quick, because, like, aging in oak, right? So we started doing that with wine.
Yep.
Okay. So it's a very European thing.
Well, so, I mean, really, let's talk about, like, why we started aging things in oak. And it's really just because that's how you would transport things, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's because that was the vessel you would put liquids in, because you could store them. People didn't have plastic and metal things to store things in. So it was just like, and what ended up happening is people tasted the things that were in those barrels, and then they're like, hey, this tastes a little bit better. I wonder why. Was it because it was in this barrel? Maybe. And then eventually people caught on. So the same thing happened with all spirits and all wine, really. It's like, it was just a means of like, this is how we have to hold on to this.
Yeah.
And now it's like, but what you're saying, sorry to interrupt.
No, get into this. Get into this, man.
We just hosted a class.
I just drink this stuff. I mean, you actually know what you're talking about here.
We hosted a class with a guy named Ismael Gomez, who works for Leica Spirits and is an importer of mezcal and sotol, and very soon tequila. And he, someone asked this question, which is great. When you get interaction from guests at classes, it's the best because like you're not going to think of all the questions all the time. So somebody asked, why aren't you aging this mezcal in barrels? And the reason is because it doesn't need to be in barrels. Like what we like about these spirits and what I typically like about tequila is that expression of the distillate, and I want to taste the plant. I want to taste the art and the science that went into the distillation without the murkiness of the barrel. Barrels are good. And then he also added this, which I had never heard. Barrels are great for whiskey because white whiskey doesn't taste good.
It does not. Have you ever tasted white whiskey? Anybody out there? It smells like rubbing alcohol, and it tastes like how it smells.
Yes,
which is not awesome.
No, and then what happens in that barrel is something kind of magical, and it's okay to do that with whiskey because it's a grain that you harvested that you can harvest every 6 months, right? Yeah. And you're making something out of that. With these products, you're taking a plant that grew in the ground for upwards of anywhere from 5 to 7 years. You actually have to kill the plant to harvest its sugar so you can ferment that and turn it into something. So why would I want to take something like that and kind of ruin it with a barrel? The exception to that is when people are artfully crafting things. And I think for me, I skip the whole añejo territory and I'll go like extra añejo because there's something magical that happens once it's been in that barrel for a long time and somebody's supervising it that I think is really great.
That knows how to shape it through that process. And I like one thing I've always found is that, and I this came in a conversation many years ago with someone who knew a lot more than me about tequila again, which I love conversations like that. That some tequilas just fall apart during that process. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad tequila, but it is not wine. We don't have tannin. We don't have the same kind of structures that allow things to age. Doesn't mean it can age. Doesn't mean that you don't get something absolutely spectacular with age. And when you get an extra añejo from a house that makes really good juice, then you're in for a treat, and you're in for something just really amazing, which is why I'm really excited about this. But at the same time, like if you get, if you just think, hey, if it's brown, it's better. If it's aged more, you're going to be disappointed. There's
Older isn't better.
No, I mean,
no, not all the time. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it can be spectacular.
It's always going to be more expensive because
it's always going to be more expensive
because you lost product to evaporation.
Yep.
You have to have space for those barrels, so you have to like pay rent or utilize. You're taking up that space, and
you have environmental control over all that, which is very expensive.
And and then another thing, like think about the climate that you're actually aging this stuff in Mexico. It's like it's very, very hot during the day and it's very, very cold at night. So that barrel gets a lot of reflux and a lot of interaction. So it's going to drastically affect the way that product actually tastes versus, like wine, it's typically in a cellar, it's in a kind of like dank basement is my, my understanding. It depending on where it is.
Does not smell good in these places.
No, whiskey, the places that like Scotch is aged in and Irish whiskey, it's more temperate, right? It's like, it's more consistent, but it's just wild interaction with barrels. So you have to have something that you're willing to bottle that is additive free. Also, because
additive free. I mean,
extra añejos, it's easy to cheat when you can add glycerin and sugar, right? Because you can cover up all those flaws that those barrels might.
Get all that.
And old barrels don't taste very
coloring.
good.
No,
a little bit. Is okay.
Well, let's pour some.
Please, let's just pour some
because we're talking about it.
Yeah,
and I need to wrap my lips around some of this. I wish we could get like the cola commercial where you pop it and you pour it.
I think this is gonna work. Oh yeah, that's in there. That's great.
All right. Right, get that little pour out of there. Get that little. You just can't get the of the pop of the cap. But
that was really good,
It was
though.
like pretty good, right?
You practice that?
No, like what's that guy on the cop? Like
I actually know his name.
Does all the microphone tricks?
Yeah, in Police Academy.
Sound effect.
His
Police
name's
Academy, that's it.
Michael Winslow. Is his name?
Michael Winslow.
Yep.
Oh shit! Just came out with that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like.
We're just talking about him.
Oh man! Wow, that's okay. You know, it's just in there. It's in the ether.
I love Police Academy so much.
I mean, it's really good. Well, cheers on this. We don't have to shoot this one, but so this is the Arete Grand Class Extra Añejo. We pulled this off the shelves here at the Dabbler Depot too because they've just got some cool stuff on the shelves. So
So fucking good. It's really good.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You still get the plant. The plant's like not gone. Also, like in terms of extra añejos, the color in this, right?
Yeah.
So you can tell there's probably no caramel coloring added. Same thing with this. This is a reposado, right?
Looks
It's
like-
almost clear.
Yeah.
It's additive free, so it's not going to be super dark like most reposados are because they're adding caramel coloring.
Yeah,
which
no.
isn't a bad thing if you like that,
I
but
don't
just
know,
like tell
man.
us.
Come on, we don't need it. Like I make sauces in a restaurant. I don't add. You'll never find the jug of liquid smoke back in my kitchen. That's what I liken that to.
That's kind of cool.
You know what I mean? You just we have wood for that. We set it on fire, and that's how you get flavor. I mean, like,
Yeah, you make like a really dark roux.
yeah,
right?
right. They
don't know.
sell
I don't know.
jugs of coloring that people buy, and then you add
No idea that
things.
was a thing.
Oh, it's a thing. Like there's a couple different big brands, and I remember one. I think it was my first James Beard nomination, and this company that was doing something very similar to that, but it was also this product with MSG and all this other crazy shit. And they had to send me this whole gift basket, like congratulating me of all these like things, of, like something I would never use in my restaurant. You know, it's just like, what is going on here?
And it's also
I
like
think
stuff you can't even donate because
You
it's like
can't.
nobody
Or you
knows what
can't
to
cook
do with
with it.
this.
you can't cook with it. Like it's just like you just sent me some garbage, and you know, yeah. Develop the flavor, develop the color through the process, and that is what makes it beautiful. I mean, this is it's a pale. It's like whiskey once you've let all the ice melt.
Yeah, it's like a yeah.
Those
2 year,
last
3 year.
sips off
maybe
of the
like-
bottom of the glass.
It's more like a used barrel. It's not an American whiskey kind of color. It's that. It's that. That
God, that's
Scotch color.
And it's almost got this like iced tea kind of.
It's got those tannins, right, from the
Yeah.
barrel, and like just enough. It's not destroying everything else.
I like it so much.
It's delicious. Thank
this
you
is
so
cool.
much.
Well, we'll finish this before we get.
The bottle?
Well, I mean, if you want, we definitely don't have to, but we could.
Just go to sleep here up in that up in the what do you call that, the plant ceiling. Just make me a little hammock up there.
Yeah.
Get me a bottle of Boone's Farm from the cold from the fridge. I don't know if we have that out there. Oh, you know what? Boone's Farm should start putting THC in their shit. That would be
They have not done that
for
yet.
the high school kids.
I mean,
man.
that would be a thing. I think it might be a licensing thing, you know, with the being an alcohol distributor versus a THC.
You probably
distributor.
can't combine them.
You can't combine them yet.
Yeah.
It's coming.
You have to do it in your mouth.
Just swirl it around. Next question.
All right.
Keep
Yeah,
this
let's move
moving.
on. Sorry.
No. I mean, so this question, and hey, the people that ask this question, I get it.
Mhm.
When you work in a restaurant, behind a bar, behind the line, you're doing something every day, and you're there's a bit of a repetitive motion. There's an art and a love to what we do. There's no question. But I get this question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's the same question, but it's food rather than. And I'm interested to see how you answer this, and if it's kind of like how I try to answer it, because it is one of the hardest questions I get.
Okay.
What is your favorite drink to make?
Okay. You do get asked this a lot.
You see how it's hard? It's hard to
We have a go-to. I actually train this to my team. The answer to that is always the drink that's going to make you the happiest. because the process for building cocktails for me is exactly the same. I'm taking a thing. My job is I mostly clean a bunch of stuff. And then the other part of my job is I take liquids and I put them into a thing, and then I put them into another thing, and I put them into one more thing, and then I give it to you, right? So for me, my favorite cocktail to make, since it's all essentially the same process, I'm measuring things and liquids, and is really like the one that's going to make you the happiest. And it's like, how do we get to the point that we find the cocktail that's going to be for you, right? So it's like, if we have time to talk about that, let's go through the process, right?
So it's based on the response from the guest.
Yeah, 100%.
Not from your personal pleasure of the creating a thing.
No, because the best part about hospitality is creating those moments and actually making people happy. Like, I couldn't do this for a living as long as I have if I didn't get like that good feedback, right? It's like how comedians like talk about how it's like an addiction and they like need to do it.
Yeah, you
like,
need
this
that
is
energy.
the thing that I need to
feedback.
do. And it's like, even for as little as I bartend now, the nights when I do bartend, I love it. It's like, I love the energy, and I love seeing happy people, and it's great, and genuinely love it. Like, you know, of course there's nights when it's awful. And when I was cooking, those nights were way more often, you know what I mean? But
we're going to get into that here.
But there's something about, you know, but then that's you get a different elation out of that. That's like, there's something about the camaraderie of a brigade style like kitchen. And when you finish a service and you fucking crush it, and like you love each other, and it's like, you feel so good. Like, you just like, you know, battle.
You climbed the mountain.
Yeah. You know, I miss that a lot.
There was things that were said. There was things that were done. We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But we're at the other end of it, and we all love each other.
Yeah. But like, so now being on the other side is like, in getting to interact with guests. I'm not supposed to smash this. I keep smashing the table. They told me not to smash.
We don't realize how much we talk with our hands. So you start talking like it's like I think we're
very animated.
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers to that.
It's okay. So yeah. Anyway, I like to make things that make people happy.
I'm gonna jump off with another question real quick,
Great.
just because I love this question. And the question is: does Rob need a back rub?
No. So actually, I don't. I do like back rubs. I don't need one right now. My shoulder's a little weird. I just had a child. So there's I spend a lot of time like holding a baby in a weird position.
Yeah.
And for the first month, I think it started to be like sore, but I think my body's just adapting to it.
For those that don't know, that are listening to this, children destroy everything in the world.
Yeah.
They're also the most fucking amazing thing in the world. And it's this really weird dichotomy of the reality that is like crazy. And I love my son. He's just like the center of my world. He's just such an awesome guy.
Yeah.
And we just have a blast together. Although he's starting to beat me at Smash, which I was always dominant.
Like Smash Brothers?
Smash Brothers, yeah.
Whoa.
He's just kicking my ass now.
That's awesome. I want to play Smash Brothers with the guys.
It's like, remember you're watching the old After School Special or like Wonder Years or whatever, and like the first time the kid like wins at basketball, right? You know? But it's not that shit anymore. It's like Smash Brothers.
That's
and
awesome.
I would always just dominate. Like, and like you always have this thing. Like you'll get here. You're in the middle of your battle, and you're like, man, I could let him win this one. Like I could give it to him for a second, you know, and you just can't. You can't bring yourself. Then you just destroy him, right? You know, like.
Who's your go-to character?
So my go-to character, I've got three that I cycle, right? I got three, so this is three. So I've got Cloud.
Wow.
Who my son says is broken and unfair. And then I've got Simon.
Simon
from
Belmont.
Castlevania. Yeah.
Dope.
I crush with Simon.
All
He's
right.
a counter puncher, but also has projectiles, can kind of keep a distance. So like, you know, it's real. Like Simon can get real. But certain characters can just wipe Simon because he's slow. But you pair him with the right. And then I get
I get Ken from she's an old school Street Fighter.
Oh, Street Fighter Ken's in Smash Brothers now?
Yeah, you can get
I didn't know that.
Smash Brothers. And like all I do is like try to get underneath someone and just drag and uppercut them until they're going. Because on Smash Brothers, there's no like forward, 3/4, hit the button. No, it's just like up and a button.
Wow.
And you're just like dragging uppercutting across the screen with like it's like actually pretty ridiculous.
I'm ashamed to say that I haven't played Smash Brothers since like 64, I think. My go-to is always just Pikachu because you just explode the screen.
Yeah,
it's great.
He's always shocking you, man. It's like he can be real, and he's fast.
He's fast. I really want to play a new Smash now, man.
Oh, it's deep. It's
you can like play online now.
All
like tournaments,
all the things.
All right.
My son's telling me like the pros use this guy, right? So he knows like who's winning this thing and who's doing it for real. But yeah, like. And I still pull out a win from time to time, but he's pretty much, and usually when I'm pulling out a win, I'm usually just like spamming. He always tells me I'm spamming a move. I'm just kind of like, I take that one powerful move and I just use it for everything.
And he knows that.
He knows it,
You just got to get better.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
My
propensity to get better at video games, like, and look, a lot of people in that video game lifestyle love it, do what, give yourself that time and that self-love. I play video games with my son every once in a while. My lady and I will sometimes when the kids have taken over the first floor and they're just, it's just all of them. It belongs to them. You get the neighbor kids over, you get all the kids in the house and they're, we'll just go down to the basement and we've got an old school Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Pour ourselves some nice, maybe tequila beverages and play Super Mario World.
I didn't know this about you. I can't believe we've never talked about this.
Yeah, and it's such fantastic. A good game. The one on 64.
It's the best Super Mario Brothers.
It's the best Super Mario, but some of the levels are so fucking hard.
Yeah, when you got to get the the key and fly with Yoshi and a cape and get under the
fuck off.
Yeah,
just. Mm-hmm. Just let me pass the castle for the love of God. The one with the little platform that just moves around and zigzags around.
Yeah,
you fall off it
in the ghost house.
Times.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. We can play it sometime.
Oh my God,
I'm down to play that anytime you want.
I almost lost my shit. It was hard. It was really hard. Okay, so we're gonna go into this.
That was the back rub question, right?
I think there was a backup question.
No, the back rub question.
That was a back rub question. Yeah.
Okay, that's what that turned into. Okay.
I'm down. I got I've got a wrist injury right now.
I want whoever asked that question to come and give me a back rub.
I think that's the appropriate answer for this question.
I think I know who it is too.
You should be listening to this because you asked the question. So you owe Robb a back rub.
I see you down there in Florida.
And I want to see some elbow in there.
Yeah.
Don't bring the machine. Don't bring the machine. Come on. And I want to see some elbow. Yes, deep tissue, but gentle. Don't.
I don't have a lot of tissue, but yeah.
I'm trying to hurt a motherfucker. Very cool. So I'm just going to the next one because I do want to get through some of these because I'm kind of interested. And I know my answer for this. Because we use it in our restaurants. But best bang for the buck tequila to make a margarita.
I honestly, I'm gonna go Arete, Tapatio. What's the other one? Oh man. Honestly, those two. The price point's awesome.
Well, and so drinking this, you've got this banana-y tropical fruit kind of leading. Thing that's going to really balance with the acidity of a margarita, right?
Yep.
So the Arete, which is great, the Arete has got some pepper and a little floral, but it's also very soft.
But when we say that, don't use this in a margarita.
Oh my God, no. We're talking about the Blanco, the lower level Arete. This, for the love of God.
Yeah. Please. But what I like about Arete is you get that big green pepper thing, and then there's also a bunch of salinity already. So it's and people ask why you want to use that for a margarita. It's because think about the flavors that you're getting out of that. With good tequila, you're already getting that bell pepper thing. You're getting a little bit of citrus, you're echoing from the orange liqueur. You're getting that citrus from the lime. You're getting a little bit of salinity. So if you're adding salt to your margarita, which by the way, we always just put the salt right in our margaritas.
Oh, nice. So you got it there. It's there, and it's...
Yeah, we just make saline solution because then every sip has a little bit of that salinity, and it makes the cocktail a little bit more rich because that salt kind of like rounds things out and opens up your palate. And then also you don't get salt all over your lips. And sometimes I don't want salt all over my lips, especially in the winter in Minnesota.
Yeah. I always like a little bit of shrub in some things too, because it has that salinity.
And that fat acid, right, from vinegar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to take a real twist off of this really quick because you made me think about when you're talking about this green pepper, craziness. I was at your spot the other day and had the most amazing cocktail that, I have a lot of cocktails they come across and we make them ourselves. But man, I had this cocktail that just made me sit up straight. It was just so fucking delicious and unique. And it had some poblano in it.
Oh yeah.
And the green pepper can be a very difficult flavor in a beverage, in wine. I mean, in cocktails, and you see a bit spicy, this or that. You see added to cocktails, and it works great and it's fun. I enjoy it, but this was totally different. I mean, it was really the expression of like that green pepper, but balanced perfectly. Tell me about that cocktail because it's literally the best cocktail I've had in years.
It's a dope ass cocktail, and it's one of my recipes.
Okay.
Just so if my team's watching this, just remember, I'm still making the good cocktails. It's the Ultra Verde. It's tequila. We put mezcal in it. We don't tell people that because it adds
mezcal
a little.
Scares people.
It kind of does. I don't know, man. But like,
it's divisive. It's like 50-50. I love
smashing this thing. Our top selling cocktail in the bar for the last since we've been open is a mezcal cocktail. So depend. I guess it's like the Secret Tiger. Yeah,
it's a killer.
It's a good drink.
Fucking delicious.
Also my cocktail again. Meteor team. Love you guys. Ultra Verde is dope because we're literally what we're doing is getting poblanos and serranos and we actually juice them, right? So when you make simple syrup, it's like our simple syrup is equal parts water and sugar. We like the equal parts thing. I don't like the 2-to-1 thing because it doesn't
dilutes too much, or
no, it adds too much bricks without control. So like if I want to add other sweetened liqueurs to something, all of a sudden the cocktail gets too muddy because I have to add the sweetness that I'm getting from like a quarter ounce or whatever. Sorry, metric nerds, but a quarter ounce is already like what would normally be a half ounce, and it's too hard to measure that on top of like so that cocktail also has tamarind liqueur in it, right? Which has sweetness. So like, but anyway, sorry.
With tamarind, so much body complexity and structure.
Yeah, it's like got that cola kind of like weird like earthiness again with like the mezcal and the tequila. But so we're juicing those peppers, and then we use that in place of water. So like 1-to-1, just use pepper juice in substitution for water, and then make a 1-to-1, right? And instead of cooking it, we just have that raw juice and we just shake the shit out of it or agitate it or throw it in a blender. So we still get the rawness of that like bright green of the bell pepper without like getting like the muddied kind of cooked version, which is also like would probably be another interesting layer. But it's like it's that bright green kind of a thing.
Oh, it is. And it is like you feel the pepper, like in a way that's, again, like I get when you were making a spicy cocktail, adding that capsaicin to a cocktail is a cool thing. And I love that we do that. But I mean, this was just a totally different experience, and it was really, really enjoyable because it was so balanced, and that tamarind like gives it this backbone that plays off of it. Like I had one, I took one sip, I'm like, I'm ordering like 2 more of these.
Yeah, thank you.
It was so good. Man, I just decided to shout out to the Meteor team. I love you guys. I've learned so much from all your team. And I just love going to your bar and hang. Like, it's one of my favorite spots. I got a buddy of mine. We go and meet there, regularly. And it's just like when I'm sitting at your bar, and this happens to me every single time I'm there,
I sit there and I look at your back bar, and I see more bottles of things that I've never heard of or seen in my entire life than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it is an extensive, expansive array of bottles.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic.
We use most of them. I think that's great. I think the important thing is that my team understands what they are and how to use them, because one of my big gripes for a long time in this market, I think, and I don't know if it's just a lack of like education, I think early on with like the craft cocktail movement in our city, there was a lot of craft cocktail bars opening at a really rapid pace for a while, and everyone was stocking their bar with all of the stuff, but nobody knew what the stuff was or how to use the stuff.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Falernum was everywhere.
Yeah,
and nobody knew what it was.
I had I worked for a little while at a restaurant called Saffron, which is still, I think, one of the best restaurants that's ever existed in Minneapolis.
I loved that restaurant
The food
so
was
much.
amazing.
Those lamb chops,
It's like
Sammy,
everything.
if you're out there,
He won't listen to this only because I'm on it.
man, I love everything he touches.
Yeah.
I really do. There's not a piece of food that he had. I remember at your wedding, those burritos.
Yeah.
I would not be alive right now if I didn't eat one of those burritos. But I've eaten every time. I can't even go to World Street Kitchen without getting one of those burritos.
Dude, don't sleep on the lamb hummus.
Oh,
It's just braised lamb, like just plopped on top of hummus, and you just get pita, and it's the best thing in the world.
Saffron was just, it was so amazing.
Saffron was, I think, I have like top 5 all time just restaurants, just food that I've had at restaurants in my life. Like not even just the Twin Cities. Like it was, I loved working there.
But there wasn't a thing that I ate there ever that wasn't just perfectly, and it's not even just about execution, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just perfect execution, but like the flavors are cradled, they're well developed, they're balanced perfectly. It's not like everything was seasoned perfectly. Oh, great. You know how to use salt. We should all, if we're, it's tougher than.
Somebody definitely knows how to use salt.
Yeah. But you got to balance it, right? You got to bring acidity.
Yep.
You got all these spices going on. You're bringing the level of fat and some fresh and some herbaceousness. Like it had it all.
Yep.
And it was just so amazing to eat and fun to eat because it was so complete.
Yep.
And every dish that you had was just so complete.
Yeah. I never had a bad thing there.
No, I miss it.
Lamb bacon BLT. Damn, we were just talking about that. So anyway, I was working at that bar, and there was some guy who thought he was like a hotshot new bartender, and he was going to come in and play like Stump the Bartender or whatever, like I know all the stuff kind of a thing.
Those are the best guys.
Yeah, ordered shots of Falernum for everyone at the bar. He's like, oh, you have Falernum? Man, I love that stuff. Ordered a round of shots of Falernum. Does everyone know what Falernum is? It's like simple syrup with like a little bit of alcohol added to it so it doesn't go bad. And like with like some spices and lime. And so like I was like, oh, all right, dude. And then I made sure that everyone knew that he ordered it for him. Oh. It's like, hey, this guy over at Bar 4 is real smart mixologist guy. Wanted to make sure you guys got a shot of this.
Make sure he wants to watch you choke it down. He's staring into your eyes as you're like, yep, this is good. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
How do you handle it? You're like, I got a round of Bud Lights for the staff.
I'm into that. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, I guess
But that was the
I've
thing.
had
It was
Bud
like
Light.
this. It was a blessing and a curse. We started getting an influx of really cool stuff, and it all kind of happened around like the same time. I started bartending, and but I would get off work at Brad Street, the OG Brad Street.
We're going way back.
Yeah, like
Way
Graves
back.
Hotel. We would get off work, and I lived in Northeast at the time, and we would go to 331 because that place is great. And
I was just there the other night.
They had
Cool
they would
luck.
have like chartreuse and fernet and all this stuff we were bringing in because they just bought everything and just threw it on their back bar. But all this stuff, like nobody knew what it was except when we did. And we're like, what? And we're like, can we get a shot of chartreuse? And it's like, they would pour a 3-3-1 style shot. So it's like 3 ounces of chartreuse and it was like $5. And it's like, they obviously don't know what that bottle costs because there's like a fucking $60 bottle.
Yeah.
And like, they're losing money right now. But we would just drink that. Like Burke and I and Gorski and like all those ding dongs. We would just hang out there for like hours just getting beers and chartreuses until we would like have to stumble home. And like I'd wake up the next morning and my room would just smell like fernet sweats and like chartreuse sweats and
all the herbal goodness.
so like there was a good part of that. Like nobody knows what this is. Let's go take advantage of it. But there's that part where it's just like all of a sudden people are starting to make these craft cocktails.
Is that where
But nobody
Bert got
knows what
the
any of this is.
Angostura shots? Like, because they would just pour in full shots of Angostura? Like, I don't know.
We were doing that at Meteor when we opened. It was a beer and a bump. It was
Well, I had it.
it was a shot of Angostura with a grain belt, and that was actually kind of an homage to my mentor Toby Maloney. Because when he was training us, we would go to like Grumpy's or like the local bars, and he would get a grain belt because he loved it and he thought it tasted like banana bread. And he's like, you know, what's good with banana bread is like all these spices. So then he would ask the bartender for the Angostura bottle, and he would just dump like an ounce of Angostura right in his grain belt, and we would call it the Primo Stura. And I started drinking those as a result, and I still do today. If I have a premium, think about premium's really sweet, right?
Very sweet.
And so you want those bitters to dry it out and add that cool like complexity, and it, like that's my favorite cocktail that Toby's ever come up with, in my opinion. Like
We had my brother over once. This was many years ago, and got a case of Primo, and he was staying. That was a beer we had in the house, and then the power went out. It's middle of summer, and it was so hot. We had no refrigeration. Primo, unrefrigerated. It's the only beer you've committed to a case. So at this point in time, I didn't have a lot of cash, so it's just like this is what we were drinking. Yeah. So I drink hams now. I'm a hams guy.
I also like hams a lot.
I love hams so much, and hams and a shot of tequila. And I've had your beer and bump with hams many a time.
Yeah.
But I have strayed from hams just to get that Angostura
Oh, 100%.
because it is an incredible combo. And I love your beer in the bump. I just love it so much because it's a thing. Like sometimes I just want a beer, but a little bit of spice on top, a little bit like, you know.
That's a
Get me
result
going.
of getting off work, cooking, right?
Yeah.
Like you get off work.
Give me some 0 to 60.
Yeah,
Like-
let's do that first, and then maybe I'll think about a cocktail.
Then we can chill. Yeah.
It's like you can have that, but then also it's like, oh, maybe I want a daiquiri that doesn't suck too, because the daiquiri is the best cocktail on the planet. If anyone doesn't know that, daiquiri is the best cocktail on the
All right,
planet.
we're going to get to that. All right, so next question, since you brought it up.
Did I do a segue?
You segued
Wow.
like you were just riding, like the mall cop guy.
We should start a segue club.
That would be really cool.
Like 10 years later, whatever, 15, 20 years later.
I mean, hey, but wasn't there like a lot of injuries reported, falls and
Yeah.
harm done and broken things?
Do
We
those
have
make
a
more
rule in the
sense?
house that rule number 1 is no injuries.
This house or just at your house?
Just at my house, and when we're out having adventures and having fun, we did we got into scootering, like getting little scooters that you can find.
Scootering.
You know what I mean? The scooters, the little you rent limes or whatever they're called. There's different ones all the time. I think they cycle through. And thought they were the coolest thing in the world until if you ever walk down Grand Avenue in St. Paul, the sidewalks are not sidewalks. They're like it's like a concrete mountain trail. They're the heave and like, you know, we got a scooter and drive, you know, and you know, we had a few tequilas, I believe.
So a segue would have been better.
It would have been better. Well, this is the thing. So you get some that ramp up, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool to try to jump this thing, right? So I did. So when you jump, it's like
You took lead on that? You were like, I'm going to be
like-
the first to try this.
I mean, you know, so I pull up on the thing, right? As I'm launching off of this angled tree root underneath sheet of concrete sidewalk,
and I pull up on the thing, but it's motorized, right? So the back wheel shoots forward.
Yeah.
And propels the scooter in a Charlie Brown type fashion, like at about my head height before I realized what happened. And went down hard.
You went down hard?
Went down hard in the middle of Grand Avenue on like a Saturday afternoon. Many people saw this. I mean, there's the whole like, ooh, you know, like
that's
like,
barbecue chef.
Yeah. Just biffed it hard, you know. So we get back on, and I'm bleeding. Like, I'm bleeding.
Like head or like
no, it was ankle and elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we raced straight to like the closest bar.
Okay. So it was just like road rash. It wasn't like
to get some.
I thought you were gonna say the ER.
No, C-folds and
Did you say C-folds?
C-folds.
Were you like I need C-folds stat?
No, but I asked for like a paper towel. They just gave me C-folds. Like I'm
because if it's like a 14-year-old like
Yeah.
bar back, they're like C-fold.
Yeah.
He wants C-folds. And they're like, I don't know what that is. But if it's like, you know, like a industry vet, they're like, oh, C-folds. Yeah, here. You're bleeding. That's a good name.
Would you like your C-fold with whiskey or with
vodka? C-folds are a type of paper towel that only fit in a certain type of dispenser.
Yes.
For anyone that doesn't understand that.
And also called trifolds.
Never heard that.
Either have I. I asked for some C-folds at the restaurant the other day, and one of my employees came back to me and just said, all I can find is trifolds. And I was just very perplexed, and on the box it said trifold. And I have to be honest, I felt a little abandoned by this company that they're putting trifold on the edge of their.
Did it make you feel old? Because maybe that's this trifold to the new C-fold, and we're just out of touch.
The name of things just to like appeal to. Well, okay.
Does that person still work there? You didn't fire them.
No, absolutely not. Okay. We have got so many amazing people. Like I get to work with like a lot of people haven't been in the industry. A lot of young amazing people, and man, I love it. I think it's just really cool.
It's dope. The people is the hardest part of this entire business, but it's also like the best part. Like my team is so fucking dope.
100%.
Like, it's just like amazing. it's great. I'm so lucky.
Well, let's do a little cheers to team here because I mean, literally, it is the most amazing thing and huge privilege. Cheers, guys.
I'm way ahead of you on this tequila, by the way. Just so everyone's aware. Okay.
So I totally forgot. We were segueing. Not scootering. We were segueing to daiquiri. Someone asked a question. What's the best rum for a daiquiri? Now, we'll get to that, but Rob just said the daiquiri is the best cocktail. I don't know if he said in the world or if made or whatever, but the best cocktail. So I just want you to expand on that. And I'm going to lay out this ground quick because I had this conversation from the wonderful gentleman at the Libations podcast who helped me get this started. Love to you guys. Had a great convo with you, and thanks for all the help and assist doing what I'm doing.
That's Charles and Ben.
Charles and Ben,
the best.
They are the best.
Yeah.
Wow, I had such a great time with those guys.
So they make it fun.
And we talked about rum, and this wasn't on the podcast. It was we met at Whirly gig, and we were just kind of chatting and hanging shit in the middle of a sea of crazy people. And we were just really talking, and he was Charles brought up, like rum, like how do we bring rum to where tequila is right now? And rum is a spectacular. I mean, it's an amazing spirit with so much complexity. But let's talk about. The question is best rum for a daiquiri. You said the daiquiri is the best cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are saying, hey, how do we get rum where it needs to be?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the world thinks of the daiquiri as a fucking frappuccino.
Yep. Yeah. That's
Captain Morgan in it. So how do we make all these roads meet?
All of that's getting better. And people are starting to understand that a handshake and daiquiri is a daiquiri, right? it is important for us to acknowledge the fact that like the same place in Cuba that made the daiquiri popularized the daiquiri is also one of the first places to make a blended daiquiri. And this happened like in the 50s. Like as soon as the blender was available, the blended daiquiri was happening
People were
in
just
Cuba.
like, let's put some ice cream in this shit.
Yep. So it's like,
I want some little umbrellas. I want like,
I think,
give me a pink flamingo on a stick. Straw.
or yeah, what I tell people is, this is the thing that I say all the time is like, when I say daiquiri, I'm not talking about like a plastic saxophone that you're walking down the Vegas Strip with and you're going to get a fucking hang. It's like 186 ounce plastic saxophone filled with like sludge that you're going to vomit up all over the casino floor later. It's
big
not
giant,
that.
like little fluted, like 2 foot tall.
Those are great. I can't drink those. That's just when I smell those, it just gives me a hangover.
Yeah.
But a handshaken daiquiri, a 3-ingredient. Why is it great? It's because it's a 3-ingredient cocktail, which is like typically the best cocktail anyway. Because it means you're like taking a spirit that you really, really like.
Tell people what these 3 ingredients are. Just like, because I mean, look, we've all drank daiquiris and you had the frozen daiquiris and like, but like, what are we talking about here?
A little bit of sugar, fresh lime juice, citrus juice, depending on the cocktail, and then just a really good spirit. A spirit that like you like. It's like an old fashioned is the most simple way to enjoy a cocktail, right? It's you take a spirit that you love, that you appreciate, that you want to celebrate, and instead of just like drinking it neat, because maybe it's hard to drink things just neat, right? Like sometimes things are really high proof. You're adding a little bit of sugar to that to soften the spirit and to make it a little bit more palatable. You're adding some bitters to kind of like season it, and then water to make it again a little bit easier to drink, right?
Open it up a little.
Most simple thing you could ever do in terms of a cocktail, and it's really just like, I love this spirit. I don't want to just drink it neat because like I got stuff to do. So let's just do this to it. A daiquiri or a triptych or a sour style cocktail is that same cocktail, but now we're adding acid to it, right?
The lime juice.
Yep.
And we're shaking it, right? We're going to shake that shit.
We're going to shake this. We're not going to shake an old fashioned. If you're at a bar that's shaking your old fashioned, just politely pay for your tab and leave.
Back away slowly.
Order something else.
Don't
maybe
look
just
directly in the eye.
Christina.
Don't make eye
Christina Wynn actually taught me that. Her and Burke taught me if you're at a place where you can't trust them to make a good old fashioned, you just ask for that spirit on the rocks with a dash of bitters. And that was actually the first time we ever did that was at Saffron, and I'm curious if she remembers that. But
all right.
Anyway, the daiquiri is the best cocktail because I think rum works the best in that equation. Tequila also works great in that equation. That's just a tequila gimlet. Gin works great in that equation. That's just a gimlet.
Gin works great in every.
Gin's good. Most of the spirits are good. If you maybe switch to lemon and throw some whiskey in there, if you have a whiskey sour, like it's just that ratio works and that's a good cocktail, right? But for some reason, there's something about rum that makes that better. And I think it's the idea of like, think about where these things come from, right? So the daiquiri was invented in Cuba. There's limes everywhere. There's sugarcane growing crazy, right? They're making rum with that sugarcane. They're also making molasses and sugar, and the sugar is a byproduct of the molasses making. So it's a combination of all those things, and it's fucking good. It's what grows together goes together, right? It's that same thing that applies to food.
It applies to food so much, and like because these are real things. It shape our experience, our flavor, and how we experience food. And I think like when people are making rum and they have all this citrus, right? Why'd they have that spice in the first place? Why is the wood
Sure.
Why did the spirit become structured the way it did, if not to make this perfect cocktail?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg.
Yep.
These things grew up together in an amazing way. But I want to get to rum too, because I love daiquiris, and I love a classic shaken daiquiri in a frosty,
Yep.
like
So the best rum for a daiquiri if you get a chance to just go to Mexico or Cuba, just get a bottle of Havana Club 3. It's the best rum for a daiquiri. It just is.
Havana Club 3.
Yep.
Right, put it on your list, guys.
There's rums that emulate that. You can get it in the duty-free shop, like when you go to Mexico. But buy all of them. I think they have like a 3-pack.
I'm going to Mexico soon. I'm going to get a case.
So you bring an extra suitcase. And then
rum suitcase.
I have these special things for bottles that I can
I'll
give
bring
you.
my special rum suitcase.
Just an empty suitcase that you pack right into your other, and then when you go through customs, you just say, yeah, I bought some rum, duty free, and it's fine.
But this is the thing. So like rum, and I'm on board with daiquiri.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we were just talking. I made a daiquiri. We put it on the menu. We call it the Banoffee daiquiri. And you can get this here at the shop too at Dabbler Depot. We got it's the Tempest Fusion banana liqueur.
Oh yeah, that stuff's that's overripe banana.
It is overripe banana.
Yeah,
so what we do is at the restaurant we take banana, we slice them up, toss it with some brown sugar, a little vanilla bean, some white sugar, let it sit at room temperature overnight, and it's like an oleosaccharum, right?
Yeah.
With bananas, and pull the syrup, mix that with some Tempest Fusion. We use some great rum. Our friends at Tattersall had this barrel-aged rum that we were using.
That's got some banana quality to it too.
It does too. It all builds on itself, right? And then just a grip of lime juice and shake it over some ice on a frosty glass, a little mint and slice of fresh banana.
That sounds fucking good.
It was really good. If you yell up, we do the banana cream pie. At the restaurant. You've been to Revival. You get the banana cream pie if you haven't. If you had, you know what I'm talking about. It's really good. I still will. I mean, this is 10 years going on in Revival, and I'll still eat a slice of banana cream pie.
Yeah, I will too. That's a good pie.
But that's a daiquiri, right? And you can add flavor, whatever. But it's that fundamentally, it's that sweet, right? It's that But rum, how do we get rum to be?
I think it's happening.
Okay.
So the best way to make rum more of a thing is to introduce people. So whiskey is huge, and it's especially huge in the States.
Well, we're in America, and that's our OG. Like that's our.
Yeah. We have that. We didn't invent it. The Irish invented it. The Scottish grabbed onto it, and then the Japanese perfected it.
And then we made it better than all.
Japanese American whiskey.
They got a lot of Scotch in there.
We have bourbon and we have rye because we have the area to grow that. We had corn before anyone else. It's 100%.
But Japanese whiskey has a lot of Scotch influence.
Oh, 100%.
Which I enjoy.
Yep.
And I used to drink a lot of Scotch. And I enjoy, but as I became older, it became a bit too heavy for my palate. So I enjoy more of an American bourbon.
Yeah, bourbon's still dope. There's nothing wrong with bourbon.
And I love a good rye corn bill.
Yep. And here's the thing about corn. Corn is inherently sweet, right? So
very sweet.
And when you just taste corn distillate, it's way more similar to rum than it is to barley being distilled or something, right? So it's the best thing we can do, and the way we can introduce rum to people's palates is influencing whiskey drinkers, right? When I was running the bar program at Spoon and Stable, our house old fashioned had rum in it.
I remember that. It was amazing.
We didn't tell people that. We didn't put that on the menu.
No, but we talked about that when I was at the bar one night, and you were like, "Fuck with me." I had a little rum in there.
Yep. It was all rum. We used a 5-year blended rum from Plantation, and then it was just a roasted pineapple demerara, and which would work with bourbon. All this would work with bourbon.
Yeah, but that pineapple demerara with a little rum.
But this is 2014, so I don't think people were ready for rum yet. But it was amazing how many times people would come to the bar and say, "I'll have another old fashioned." And then the bartender would be like, "Oh, the house old fashioned with rum?" And they would say, "No, the old fashioned that's on your menu. I don't drink rum." And it's well, this guy's had 3 old fashions already. He had house old fashions. He thinks he doesn't drink rum, but he's already been drinking rum. And
you don't drink Captain Morgan.
Yeah,
you drink rum.
Exactly. And there's leaps and bounds difference between it's kind of the same thing with rum. The thing with rum is so bourbon, American whiskey has a very strict set of rules, rum does not have those same rules. So rum's kind of wild. It can kind of be whatever. As long as it's made out of sugar cane and there's some kind of sugar in it, it can be rum. Bourbon has to be very specific thing, right?
You got to have the water. You got to be within the limits of the,
Yeah, and it's like,
Bourbon County, and it's very...
It's that's actually not true anymore, which is...
It's not.
Maybe unfortunate, but also like...
I'm going to say it's unfortunate. Look, I mean, you got to restrict a thing.
The water is not true anymore, and the county is not true anymore. It's has to be produced in the United States of America. It has to be aged in new charred American oak. It has to be at least 51% corn. There's a distillation proof that I can't remember that Tyler's going to kill me for not remembering, but that's basically it. It has to be from America, new charred American oak, and mostly corn. That's kind of it. I
did not know that. I've heard whispers of that. I've heard people talk about it. Didn't understand what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. But that's amazing to know because, I mean, our world changes. I like the old way. We're all shocked by that.
But here's the thing. There's a reason. All right. So, whiskey tirade. There's a reason the best bourbon is still coming from Kentucky for the most part. And it's just because of the fact that they've had so long to do it and they have so much to work with and blend with, right?
Well, in their houses, their aging houses that they have, and the juice that they're starting from, like the best bourbon that we're talking about, it's not even like we're talking. You're talking 10 years out to just start talking about amazing bourbon, right? There's a lot of great bourbon that's all over the place, but I mean,
I'm a 6 to 12 year guy, right?
Yeah.
Like I think anything over 12 years, depending on the bottle, like there's lots of nuance in it, but like I think that's my sweet spot, right? Yeah. Because I want to taste a little bit of the distillate still, and I want to taste like what you did to the barrel. But
well, Robb Jones. So just so everybody knows out here, we got Robb Jones here from METEOR Bar and Life. We're going to continue this podcast for probably the next couple hours. Just not going to be recording it because Rob and I have a bit of a bottle to get into. But I'm going to, I kind of have to end this somewhere, at least for today, which is a bummer. But I got to ask one final question. And I got a handful out of here. You were at the height of fine dining in Minnesota. Gavin Kaysen, Spoon and Stable, and throughout his empire of phenomenal restaurants doing very high detail. And I came to that bar and had so many spectacular cocktails. I remember going there and just having one of the classic cocktail made to perfection. When you were running that bar, and it was just you if you really want to have this cocktail, this made unlike you're ever going to have it made. This was just was a great place to go when you were there. Why did you go from this place to now running a bar in North Minneapolis? I heard you say North. I've always said Northeast.
So yeah, we're on the edge of the North Loop. We're technically north. We're on the edge of the North Loop and Northeast, but we're in North.
Right there, because you can walk to North Loop. You can walk to Northeast. You can last time I was at your bar, I walked.
It's if you're on your way to one or the other, just stop by. But yeah.
So what was that leap like, and what made you say that this is something that I'm doing in my world? What brought you to METEOR?
I think, the number one reason is I saw that building was available and was able to negotiate a way to be able to open a bar there. I think that there's something special about the bars that have existed in Minneapolis for a long time and are like those original buildings. If people don't know, the building that METEOR's in has been a bar since its inception, and 120 years ago, it's always been a bar. It's only been a bar. It's one of the few places that, throughout whatever's happened with the evolution of the city hasn't been torn down and turned into something different. You know, it's like it's the same shell. It's the same thing that it's been. There's something cool to me about that.
It's very cool.
And those types of bars are the bars that I'm comfortable hanging out with, right?
Yeah.
Or hanging out in.
Yeah.
So like when I would get off work, it's like I like to go to Grumpy's. Like I like to go to like Jimmy's or like one of those bars in the Northeast that are, you know, like dive bars, and I feel comfortable there, and I know that other people feel comfortable.
The Dubliner in my part of town.
I love the Dubliner. The
so
Dubliner.
great.
I was in a band that used to have a rehearsal space right down the street from the Dubliner, and we'd be there every single day. Every day we'd rehearse. Then we go to Embers. Embers, R.I.P. R.I.P. Embers. But
now Gus, you go down there and have some nice, not quite Embers, like
late night Gus, Kevin. So
do some tartar.
That's so.
Do some we're gonna rehearse, drink some fucking, have a couple JMOs, and we're gonna go get some tartar.
And this might sound pretentious of me, but I think that Meteor is the bar that the city needed, because there was nowhere in our city to go. There was in other cities, and I took influence from a lot of other bars in Chicago and New York and like all over the country.
Well, I'm gonna stop you. If you did that, I want to thank you for whatever influence you took. Meteor Bar is 100% Minneapolis.
Oh,
You
for sure.
Feel it's dripping Minneapolis when you walk in the door, when you're sitting at the bar and you have a drink. There's a balance. Yes, you've got all the craft. I mean, right? You've got all this, the craft from the classic, perfection and brilliance of the Spoon and Stable time period, innovative like periods at Saffron. But you go into Meteor and all that's there in layers, but it's still a bar.
Yeah, and you don't have to do that. Right.
But you don't have to. You don't feel like you have to. And I think that's even more important. You don't feel like you have to.
Yep.
You just go and it's just a bar.
Yeah.
But the experience has so much depth, and that's one thing I just love about it.
Yep.
And why I keep on like coming back. And if I'm ever in that part of town, that's where we're hanging. That's where we're going to meet up for whatever reason. And it's just pure Minneapolis.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to like our guests that actually showed up because for me it was, this business is very risky and it's terrifying. And opening right before COVID was insane, surviving it is even more insane. But like, it's a testament to like my team and making sure that they're making guests feel good when they're there, because it's like,
and they do,
because our cocktails we have great cocktails, but I tell everyone, even in interviews, if they're like some cocktail hotshot and they want to work at our bar, it's like, cocktails are probably like 5th on my list of shit that I care about. The most important thing that you can do when you're in this space is making whoever comes in that door feel better about themselves when they leave.
Yeah.
Like, I want everyone to feel better than they did when they came in here.
And that's why I love like that, like go back to that beer and the bump, right? Like, you just really like send a message that like, man, you can do it the way you want to do it.
You can be drinking a $6 beer and a bump next to, or a $10 tax inclusive daiquiri, essentially on the edge of the North Loop, where you'd pay $16 fucking with tax at one of those new cool speakeasies in Minneapolis. Not trying to talk shit, but like, cause speakeasies aren't real anymore. And then next to somebody who's
because
like,
just in case anybody knows, booze is legal.
Yeah, has been for over 100 years now. But you can be drinking like, like a $10 really like the best daiquiri in Minneapolis next to someone who's drinking a $42 pour of like mezcal that they're nerding out about with one of the bartenders, and like. And you're going to get along with that person because you're both there.
And
to just
get some information. You can dig deep.
Yeah.
Or you can
don't.
That
or just
pepper.
Come in and hang out when you get off work, and it's just like, chill. We're not going to bother you. Like, you don't have to. It's not the pretentious craft cocktail thing that people associate. And like, that's so important in the Midwest.
No, it's just
because every single bar that's open that's like doing craft cocktails has been a speakeasy or a restaurant. And like, finally we just have a bar. It's just a bar. And you can have something good and also just drink shitty beer with me, you can come in and drink shitty beer with me and a shot of fucking tequila, and we'll probably be better friends than if you order the $15 cocktail. Yeah.
And you have killer t-shirts, which I bought a few. Guys, thanks so much. This has been amazing. Robb Jones, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our first inaugural Tequila Monday. This has been amazing.
This is fun.
This has been a blast.
We drank a lot of that.
We did a good job.
We're doing a good job. Oh, me? Don't worry about me, but follow Meteor. I use Meteor's social media as a extension of me because I don't think that I'm necessarily that interesting. Like my own social media, I'm just like, don't worry about me necessarily. But just at Meteor MPLS on Instagram usually. And if you want to learn about any of the stuff we're doing some really cool stuff in October. That I can actually talk about now. We're doing this thing called Black Lagoon. It's a pop-up that's like a national thing that's in like Canada and like all over, like in states all over the place. But it's we're essentially going to be like a really spooky goth bar with like spooky tiki for the entire month of October. And it's going to be like a huge transformation. Like we're over decorating. So
goth tiki.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so fucking in.
It's going to be awesome. And the drinks don't suck. Like, they're really good.
I'm going to get all cured up. I'm going to, like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, shit. I got to share that Robert Smith video with you that Adam Hart has sent to me. It's amazing. like now Robert Smith. I know. It's great. It's amazing and sad, but fucking awesome.
Maybe I'll do the old.
Shout out to Robert Smith of The Cure.
Shout out to
I know he's going to be listening and watching.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course.
He loves podcasts focused on tequila based in the Twin Cities.
Right. Brought to you by Dabbler Depot here. Man, it's been really cool, recording here, and it's a killer space. And this tequila came from just right off the shelves, which being one of my favorite tequilas, and they already carry it, means they've got incredible taste.
Also known for the biggest selection of Boone's Farm in the Twin Cities.
Yes.
So make sure you get here for that. You can buy it by the case. They don't even ask any questions.
And all the beers refrigerated.
All the beers refrigerated. Not the Boone's Farm, because it's better warm.
It is better warm.
Boone's Farm.
It is better warm. And you can find me.
Boone's Farm, at me.
At Revival MPLS. No? You can find me at Revival MN.
This is the difference between doing your own social media and having someone able to do it for you.
Right? Like, I just, like, you could message me on my social media. I don't know that I posted in like a year. But thanks so much.
Cheers,
you. Everyone. Tequila Monday.
We always shake hands. That's what we do.
Yeah,
we're going to...
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tequila Monday. You can support this show by supporting its sponsors, Dabbler Depot, or any one of Chef Thomas's restaurants. Tequila Monday is produced by Jordan Whip in association with Michelle Haddad and Chef Thomas Boemer.